I'm Rick Koninghausen. I'm the Director of Sales and Marketing for Xanterra Travel Collection. And again, it's my honor to be part of this thing, and I'll be our MC for the day. Before we go too much further and have our speakers join us today, we have a few folks in the audience that we want to say hello to and recognize. We tried real hard to catch everybody, and if I missed anybody, I apologize. But from the state of Wyoming, we have Wyoming State Representative Sandy Newsom. Thank you, Sandy. From the Park County, Wyoming Commissioners, we have Dossie Overfield. From north of us, from Park County, Montana, we have County Commissioner Bill Berg. Somewhere. Just look for the tallest guy in the crowd, and that's Bill Berg. And we also have another county commissioner from Park County, Montana, Steve Caldwell. Thank you all again for taking time to join us today. So a quick review of what we're going to be up to today. In addition to the remarks, and once our remarks are complete, we're going to do a ribbon cutting right behind us here. It'll take us a second or two to set up, which will give you all a moment to get your cameras refocused and video ready to go, and we'll give you ample time to get set up. Then we'll cut some ribbons, and after that, you'll have a chance to go into the hotel. We have walking tours of the hotel. You'll get to see some rooms and some of these new facilities. We have the National Park Service will also be doing a walking tour at 11:30 of the Historic District of Mammoth. We'll have a gentleman at the map to talk about that restoration and the history of the map as well. And even better, we have refreshments. We have some really, and I only tell you that with the agreement that you'll leave some for me. So, anyway, that'll be in the map room. So once you get in, please look around, enjoy your day, enjoy the refreshments. And thanks again for coming. First off, I'd like to introduce our Superintendent of Yellowstone National Park, Cam Shawley.
Well, good morning. Thanks for being here. This is a long time in the making. I understand the planning for this started about 20 years ago. So nothing happens fast in the federal government, but I think it might have been worth the wait looking at the result. It's pretty incredible. You know, Mammoth really kind of serves as a cornerstone of Yellowstone in many ways when you look at the diversity that's here and the millions of people that enjoy this area of the park every year. The cultural resources, the history, the natural, cultural, geologic resources in this one area make it one of the most popular places in the park. And it's befitting that we have such an incredible historic resource here that's now, I think, in its third iteration over the last 140 years or so. But what a fantastic job, and so many of you played a part in helping support this project along the lines. And I think it's important to kind of look at this in a couple different ways. None of this happens easily. So, you know, you've got people and partners that make things like this happen. The resources, the visitors, the infrastructure, all of those things are very, very important for us to look at when we set priorities and when we make investments, and we want to make those investments in the areas that have the highest impact. So when we talk about the people, I'm very proud of the Park Service team here and partners and people you'll hear from Peter Galindo here. Projects like this don't happen without people like Peter. Where's Bianca Klein? I don't know if Bianca's in here. She's from our education division. She's done a fantastic job, for instance, on the displays, telling the history of Mammoth and the hotel. You know, Chris Mather from our museum team can tell you everything you want to know after we're done here about the historic map. But it's an incredible group of Park Service people that all play a very integral role in the success of something like this. Park Service doesn't do things like this alone, ever. So partners are very important. You know, we're looking at some of the best partners and concessionaire partners the Park Service has right here with Mike and Rick and the team in Xanterra. They've done a fantastic job, so thank you. And who's here from Swank? who actually did the real work. You know, you did a fantastic job. You know, rehabilitating these historic structures can be very challenging, costly. It takes a lot of work and detail, and you all did it very well, so thank you very much. A lot of engineers, architects, you know, we've got great support from so many people. One of the folks that Rick did not mention was Caitlin Glover from Senator Barrasso's office. Caitlin, where are you? I'm not sure if she's here or not, but I'm pretty, there she is. We appreciate the partnership with the senator. So awesome to see Park County commissioners, both from Montana, Wyoming, and we have to have these relationships in very good condition and very good communications to support one another in important projects like this. So when we talk about the resources, you know, we talk about natural resources in this park on a regular basis: bison, wolves, grizzlies. It's a big focus. But we've got some of the most important cultural and historic resources in the world in this park. This is one of them. There's many more right here in this area. And so I think that it's important that we understand the value of the balance and the diversity of the resources that are in this park, and the importance that we make investments of time, energy, money, and staffing, not only in some of those areas that are of the highest profile, but also understanding there's a wide spectrum of historic resources that are incredibly important to the history of Yellowstone National Park and to this country. Next category is the visitors. We get millions of people through here every year. I think the balance here in this hotel, kind of protecting the past and the history of this structure and the fabric, but still with a build in mind for the future, I think that balance was struck here. And you know, everybody loves rustic, but I think there's a good blend in here, and a lot of modifications that were made in very, very good taste. And you know, it's very important when we look at rehabilitating these historic structures for the future, so people can enjoy and see what they were like 100 years ago or more, but can enjoy that balance of modern day amenities and comfort as well. Lastly is infrastructure. You know, we reported out over $500 million in deferred maintenance in this park last year. That number is probably substantially higher than that. This is a $30 million investment of taxpayer dollars. It's a good investment. It was well spent. It was on target, on schedule. It reduced over $10 million in deferred maintenance. We've got a lot more to do, but I think this is a great project that touches all of those key things I just talked about: people, partners, visitors, resources, and infrastructure. And so this is what we like to see. We're glad you're here to enjoy it. Thank you for being here, and thank you for your support.
With that, the best boss in the world, let me introduce General Manager for Xanterra Travel Collection here in Yellowstone, Mike Keller.
Thank you, Cam. Thank you, Rick. Welcome, everyone, to this historic day, the reopening of the Mammoth Hotel here at Mammoth Hot Springs in Yellowstone. You know, Cam noted that the hotel with its cabins and companion dining room is the epicenter of commercial services here in Mammoth. And if you look back at the history of Yellowstone, when the first visitors came to Yellowstone by railroad through the north entrance, Mammoth was their first destination. This really set the tone for the visitor experience in Yellowstone. And I'm very happy to say that with this restoration, I think we've reiterated and reinforced what Mammoth means to the Yellowstone experience with the restoration of this hotel. So I also want to say thank you to Swank again for the great work you did in supporting this operation. We really appreciate it. Yellowstone is all about partnerships, as Cam talked about, and it's a privilege to be here and be part of the team that's responsible not only for past and current generations, but for future generations as well, and for ensuring that we maintain these facilities not only for today, but for 100 years from now. And I believe the efforts that have been made in the Mammoth Hotel will continue to make this a cornerstone for the visitors coming through the north entrance within Yellowstone National Park. Xanterra funded roughly $2 million in the renovation of the hotel. We had a lot of people on our staff that were key components in assisting this, but I'd like to single out two of them specifically: Addie Wickham and Victoria Chamberlain. Thank you both for your diligent work and just seeing this project through from beginning to end. We really do appreciate what you've done for us. Thank you. This hotel services approximately 95,000 visitors annually. And by completing these renovations, it's going to enable us to expand our dates of service here. So we'll have longer dates into the fall and earlier dates into the spring as well for future visitors coming to Yellowstone, which we're very excited about. We're honored to have the Mammoth Hotel under our care, and we look forward to continuing to maintain it going forward. And with that, I'd like to say thank you again to everybody for attending today.
Isn't he just the best? Thank you very much, Mike. If I might also jump in and just throw in one more thank you. That we're going to hear a moment about all the work that was done, and recognize some folks that made this a beautiful facility. But once a beautiful facility gets turned over to people like us, there's a big team that Mike referenced, and there's a lot of folks that work in this hotel this summer. The management here, the housekeepers here, the food and beverage folks here. A lot of went into turning this beautiful building into a welcoming hotel. And so I would also, if I might, just like to recognize all those other folks that are so much behind the scenes to make this happen today. As you can imagine, a project of this size, scope, and significance needs a leader. To ensure the success of the project, needless to say, there's countless moving parts to keep in sync with a project of this nature. Well, the leader of this project, and many projects in the park, is someone I'd like to introduce to you now, the project manager for Yellowstone National Park, Peter Galindo.
Good morning, and thank you, Rick. I kind of feel like bachelor number 3 here with a panel, so don't ask me any embarrassing questions. So yes, my name is Peter Galindo, and I'm an engineer project manager here in Yellowstone. And I'm going to talk a little bit about this project. And this project it's more than just wood and plaster and nails and drywall and countless meetings and work in sub-zero conditions. This project is a lot about relationships and partnering, as Cam mentioned in his talk. This project really kicked off in earnest in around 2012 with a lot of design and planning meetings, which required a lot of coordination between us as the Park Service and our cultural resource people, and Xanterra as an operating agent for giving the guests the best experience that we possibly could with this project. You know, these projects, they come around every 50 years or so, and we all realized, you know, this is our chance to get it right. We need to do right by this building and right by the public. Facebook, you know, everyone hears about Facebook, and their motto is, we need to move fast and break things. You know, the motto of this team is, we need to move with purpose, and we need to fix things. So we're like the opposite of Facebook here in Yellowstone. I'm kind of proud of that. So I think the project went very well. In all the construction, the Park Service usually allows like 10% for projects going over budget, unforeseen conditions. We were under 3% with this project, and that says a lot. Thank you, and that says a lot to the planning on our architect side and the construction on Swank's side. When we were renovating this porte-cochere right here, we dug up pieces of the foundation of the 1988 or the 1888 National Hotel. So there's always surprises when you work on these old buildings. Let's see. One thing about these historic renovation projects is that they get under your skin. I've worked on Old Faith Inn, we've worked on the Lake Hotel, and when you start working on these old buildings, they kind of become like your children, and you start taking ownership of them. And this project was absolutely no exception. We definitely saw it in the work of all our wonderful subcontractors and the architects, that they took ownership of these buildings, and we really wanted to make it right. And I think you'll agree that we did. Let's see. One thing that I've enjoyed about working on these projects is that they belong to you, the American public, and you get to use these buildings as they were designed over 100 years ago. You can stay in these rooms that other people have used 100 years ago. You get to experience the history, but yet has modern conveniences. But it's not like you're going in a museum and you're standing behind a rope and you're looking at a photograph. You're actually get to experience these hotels as they were intended. I'd like to make just a quick few acknowledgments of the people that worked on this project. Our architect firm was A&E Architects from Missoula, Montana. We had great engineers, electrical, mechanical, civil engineers from ACE Engineering in Belgrade and DJ&A Engineering in Missoula. We had our project inspector, Nathan Jones. Nathan, are you here? Where are you? Back there with his son. He was our contract administrator and construction oversight from VCI. We had, I'd especially like to call out Addie Wickham from Xanterra, again, my partner in crime, I'd like to say. And without her help and coordination of both Addie and Victoria Chamberlain, this project, that 3% might have been the 10%. So thank you for that. And then lastly, I would like to call out Mr. Travis Lake. He is the project manager from Swank Enterprises, general contractor, and he did a great job keeping everybody corralled on this project. As I mentioned earlier, a lot of this work is done in the wintertime when the public visitation is less and there's less impact to the public if we take the rooms offline. But the problem with the winter work is you're working in sub-zero condition. I mean, we had many weeks of sub-zero condition. And as a general rule in Yellowstone, all these winter projects, we have a saying for that. And the saying is, I'm gonna let this truck go by first. Because you have to catch this. More work. It's taking its time. Everyone admires the hotel when they drive by. They slow down. So our saying here in Yellowstone for winter work and all these many workers, we had over 70 workers here working in sub-zero condition. But our saying is, many are cold, but few are frozen. So with that, I'd like to thank you all for coming out today, and congratulations, enjoy the hotel. Thank you.
We are really moving along. At this point, we are going to officially open the hotel with a ribbon cutting.
Ready? 3.